What's going on, everybody, and welcome to week 6 of the CCS Apollo League. We got a great matchup for you guys today as number 3 Lotus is taking on number 4 Final Boss Zenith in Group A. I'm Ryan Chains, joined by Elsa the Queen. And Elsa, you ready for this 3v4 matchup today?
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. We've got a banger on the table here. As you mentioned, the third versus the fourth seed. Both of these teams currently sitting at 3-2. Just the game score that separates the two of them. So we could obviously see the two of them flip by the end of tonight if Final Boss can come away with the victory. So excited to see what these teams have in store here today.
It is going to be a good one indeed here as we have gotten this champion select going here. You might notice we started a little late. There was a brief delay, but teams were not interested in enforcing the ban loss rule for being late. So we are just going to have a standard pick and ban here. Alawi and Jarvan taken off the table by Lotus and Sivir Fizz, the first two bans coming out from Final Boss.
Yeah, very excited to see what these teams are going to pick up. The last time we had Lotus here on the CCS2 stream, I believe you were not here, Ride Chains, but they
Mhm.
were not the team that we sort of expected them to be. So they came in very, very hot, winning the lock-in tournament before CCS started. Since then, things have definitely been a little bit shakier than they would like it to be. So this is a great opportunity for them to get on the board here and show exactly what they can do. First pick coming through here. We saw the strength of that Senna last week on this stream when it was in the hands of Elysium. So that one seems like kind of a no-brainer for Final Boss to lock that one in right away.
Yeah, and on the other side, we're gonna get a Karma first pick here. So that's an interesting pick here. That, likely to go into that bottom lane. I think it can go mid. It can also go top. And I was seeing some mention of a support top lane coming through in the chat before the game, but I don't know if that's real or not. We'll have to see. Ezreal is going to be the AD carry selection here for Final Boss Zenith to go against that Senna in the bottom lane.
Yeah, like you said, could be some switcheroonies going on with the Karma, but Karma Ezreal in particular is, a really well-known duo lane, very safe, lots of range. Does a really nice job of kiting back away from danger. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like probably Final Boss will want to find something else to go in this bot lane before that second round of bans does come through. But with the Victor being picked up, we'll see what they want to pick up aside that. So far, they've definitely got a lot of range with this team composition. Some pretty strong scaling damage here for Final Boss. So that's what they're going to start it out with so far. And we'll see if Lotus wants to index further into that kind of poke and that poke composition that they've already got set up a little bit with this Ezreal if they want to go into a different direction. I assume that Nautilus is going to go into the bottom lane with the Senna.
Yep, there we go. Nautilus is the pick here. And just an engaged champion. Ezreal should be able to buffer out the hooks pretty effectively, but it's still gonna, still there that little gap close ability here from the Nautilus. But like you mentioned, a lot of scaling already on the carries of Lotus, I believe, who's actually on the blue side for this game.
Oh, okay. I see. A little bit. Okay, that
Um
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, there we go. All right, cool. Seraphine also is gonna be the lock-in now for Red 3 final boss. I don't they were also talking about proto build Seraphine. Um Someone was talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a little birdie told me you can kind of fake people out by going left or right and then using your encore after that. Um, but
We'll see if that
yeah,
comes into play. We'll see if that
I
comes
mean,
into play
like
this
you
game. Who
said though,
knows?
Right Chains, they do now have two theoretically could be support champions locked in here for Final Boss. So one of them is going somewhere other than the support role. And I mean, it has been a while. I mean, I remember way back in the day when Karma used to be a super huge power pick in the mid lane. Since then, she's obviously, been changed a little bit over time to tone down the scaling nature of her damage. She also has had those runs in the top lane as well when you just kind of try to exist long enough until you get into the later team fights and then provide all of that utility shielding, etc., etc. Seraphine is something we've seen more recently, kind of moving around the map in different positions. So it'll probably be until those final lock-ins, until we actually know where these champions are going to go. One of the things that kind of is interesting here is that we haven't seen any jungle picks so far. So we're seeing some more jungle bans coming out from Lotus with the Wukong taken out. Nefiri theoretically a jungle pick as well. It kind of shows us how the meta has shifted a little bit. We saw earlier in the season lots of early jungle lock-ins and really prioritizing those champs first. But with that Poppy locked in, we have seen the power of Murpy's Poppy. So I am excited to see that one again in this game.
Yeah, potential Murpy Poppy in the top lane. That would send one of these supports into the mid lane against the Victor. That is something that is possible here. We'll see what Lotus opts to counter with their last two picks of this draft. Looking for a jungler and top laner most likely here. Aatrox the hover for now. Another really strong pick. I feel like this champion is so strong every time I play against it.
Yeah, I mean, he has, especially once he gets a couple of items under his belt, the amount of healing that he's able to come up with is really, really nuts. We've seen a lot of Aatrox in the jungle recently. I feel like it probably could play against Poppy, but also definitely struggles a little bit against her W. So instead, it looks like they are going to look to lock in something
Ooh,
else, and it's going to be the Darius, which is an exciting pickup. Theoretically, we've seen it. I believe it was that other also the week on the stream when we saw Lotus before. I don't remember if it was them or the other team, but did not necessarily get quite as much action as we would have liked. But based on how we've seen Murphy play in the past, I am expecting a lot of fighting between these two top laners throughout this laning phase.
definitely. Just taking a look at the picks, both Darius and Aatrox want to be pretty aggressive in the lane. Darius very strong in the early level one. Can do a lot of damage with the bleed. So That's something that we're gonna look forward to here. I guess that was a no pick, but it's gonna be Graves we see in the chat. So Graves, most likely the jungle, most likely the jungle I pick here for final boss. But that should round out their composition nicely. And you alluded to this earlier, but jungle last pick is something that we weren't seeing as much in the beginning of the season, but has kind of come to life as we past the midpoint of the CCS.
Yeah, and I think in this case it does make some sense in their composition. We saw Graves top lane last week that looked a little bit lost as the game went on, but this time, they've already indexed into multiple enchanter supports, so being able to have multiple AD carries does make a lot of sense to me. And they also do already have at least some kind of front line here with this Poppy. So I actually like both of these compositions. Very unique compositions coming out in this
Mhm.
first game. Not very similar to anything that we've seen recently in CCS, at least on this stream. And so I'm hoping for a lot of early action that extends kind of throughout the game based on the amount of engage that we see, especially from the side of Lotus here between the Nautilus and the Aatrox.
Okay, we are back there. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. Um, what we were saying was that this is going to be a pretty exciting series because both these teams, have the same record, only one game score difference in between them. So whoever takes this series will, jump the other in the standings. So a lot on the line here. We are into the in-client ban and champion select here. So we're going to be getting through that as quickly as we can. Before we continue, though, I do want to give a quick reminder that we are continuing to run our CCS Revival replays with y'all. We got some tech that allows us to watch and download replays even after the client patches. All we need from you is to upload all the rawful files of your match to hashtag Apollo replays in the Discord. Be sure to include all game replays and the team sides per game. Main goal of this is to have your matches on the CCS YouTube so we all have access and the potential to watch all the CCS matches week over week instead of just the ones that are on the stream. And who knows, maybe they'll even get casted. So, think your game is a banger? Upload it to Apollo Replays now. Get those games in. We're going to take a short break as we get through this competitive integrity spectator delay, but we'll be on the rift shortly for game number 1 between final boss Zenith and Lotus. Don't go anywhere. And we are on to the rift for game number one between Lotus and final boss Zenith. Lotus on the blue side for this game. We got Gar Goomba on the Aatrox in the top lane, Aftermoon on Darius in the jungle, Winnie on Victor in the mid lane, and Crispy and Shibs rounded it out with the Senna and the Nautilus.
And on the other side for final boss Zenith, we got Murphy in the pop lane on the Poppy, Hay1 in the jungle on the Graves, Jfeather in the mid lane on Seraphine, and Resilient and Bravo taking the Ezreal and Karma duo into the bot lane. The first thing that catches my eye, as we went through that client draft off stream, was that the Darius is in the jungle, which is definitely not unheard of for this season, but not necessarily what I expected here. And I'm interested to see how Murphy is able to play out this lane against the Aatrox. I mean, later on, again, kind of like we talked about, once Aatrox gets some more levels and some items under his belt, seems like it's probably going to be impossible for the Poppy to get damage to stick. But by the time that happens, Murphy should be in more of the team fight phase, and so we'll see what he's able to do prior to that, as far as kind of playing out this matchup as a skill matchup against Aatrox early in the game, and what he's able to do with his W to limit the Aatrox's ability to get on top of him.
Both of these junglers starting on their bottom sides, working their way up to that top lane. Obviously, Aftermoon wants to get that Aatrox involved and ahead early, because like you mentioned, those early items are going to be pretty crucial for them in this lane here. Murphy's already pretty low in that top lane. I guess both of them are. They've been scrapping for the time being. But so far, chill early, a couple minutes here, as everyone's just farming it out. Junglers on this top side of the map now. Low health bars are all around, but Murphy going to TP back into that top lane.
Yeah, I mean, and with that, you would assume that you'll see the same here from Guargoomba, having to back off early. Only able to pick up the boots is Murphy on the back, so not exactly ideal, but just wanted to make sure that he did not give up that first blood. And we can see early on here the strength of this Ezreal and Karma duo pushing the melee support under the tower. Nice Q there by Resilient around Shibs. And so, yeah, they're going to be able to get a gold advantage here early on. At this point, they're actually just totally zoning them off of being able to last hit these minions for the most part. And so doesn't seem like something that, I mean, actually Darius does look like he's on his way up this lane, so possibly looking to break this at some point here, whereas Graves also possibly sticking around.
Ooh, hook's gonna land here, and the root's coming in on Resilient. The early heal is gonna come down, but now they turn their sights on to Bravo. Bravo is in trouble, has to flash away, but the hook comes down. Aftermoon finds the first blood onto Bravo, and now Resilient is the target. Flashing forward is Hay1. Do they have the damage to take down anyone from Lotus? It doesn't look so, as now the TPs are coming in. Winnie on the way in, but the bleed stacks are massive. Aftermoon finds a kill onto Hay1, as nobody from Lotus goes down in that play. A 2-for-0 early on for final boss. Sorry, other way, for Lotus.
Yeah, and it's the Darius picking up both of these kills, which is basically the worst case scenario if you are final boss Zenith. I mean, I do have to say, I feel like they should have seen that coming for final boss Zenith. They know kind of with the timings that jungler, that Darius should have been able to get back to base by then. He naturally would have been coming up to that side of or down, I guess, to that side of the map either way. But Bravo and Resilient both just a little bit too far forward there. Hey. And we are going to see a pause. Maybe as a result, maybe they just needed a break after that, I guess.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, in that play, Hay1 was not there early because he was taking the crab. So Aftermoon was able to get to that bottom lane play just a bit earlier, because he ran straight to the lane instead of stopping at the crab. So small things that can make a big difference. And now no summoners in this bottom lane for final boss Zenith. It's going to be really rough for them to play into, the heavy CC that comes from the Senna and the Nautilus.
Yeah, I mean, Shib should pretty much be able to get one of them CC'd up at will here if Darius, well, I guess it's more of a question of when Darius is able to make his way back down there. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just not a promising start. However, I think kind of some of the beauty of Final Boss Zenith's team comp is that later on they do have the potential to just kind of kite this Darius out between those two enchanters who are able to provide the speed boost and the shields, which is that's kind of the weakness of Darius is the potential being kited out. Darius also taking the flash here rather than the ghost, so he does not have the ability to have that extended speed boost during the team fights. We'll see what he ends up building though. Some Dariuses have been building Ghostblade at least somewhere in their build that I've seen recently, so that could potentially provide a little bit more speed if he does eventually decide to go in that direction. But it doesn't look like that will be the case for the first item. And so it says that the play was supposed to be resumed, but it has not resumed. So
Yeah.
they were.
So it seems like the issue was it was a Discord issue for someone. It was Murphy Discord issue, but seems like things are back to normal now, and we are back in action as everyone is just scrapping along the map right now. Nothing too, we saw those early kills and Bravo now in this mid lane. I don't think there's going to be anything here. Just maybe a little bit of chip onto Winnion, but
Yeah, I mean he's doing a nice
nothing
job of
too major.
just using his time while waiting for Ezreal to get back to
Mm-hmm.
lane. Might as well just go throw your empowered Q at the enemy mid laner, but still not going to be a big problem for Winnion. Just going to farm that one out. And yeah, I mean, what we really have our eyes on here is where these junglers are going to path next. Darius is going back to the base, theoretically could come right back down to this bottom lane, although now the tides have kind of
Oh,
turned push.
Shiv's going to land, hook onto Bravo. Resilient really low here, and we're going to start to see now this bottom lane for Final Boss Zenith. They have, a little bit of time where they're going to just run it in right now because there is a little bit of a CS lead for Resilient in this lane, about 11 as he picks up those minions under the tower. But with this bottom lane push now, Final Boss is going to lose position on this bottom lane and the crab at least. But wait a minute, there's a lot of people here. Haywan, J Feather, and Bravo all in the area, but with a low HP 80 carry, they're going to have to back off and let Lotus take, or at least start up this first dragon of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that they're just going to them take it, just because it seems really, really dangerous to run headlong into this level 6 Darius. Graves actually still at level 5, so now just ticking over to the level 6. I think that some of that trading in the bot lane really just underlines how powerful Senna is as a champion right now, given that she has a tier and 2 daggers. So as far as damage, I mean, she's able to do that much damage, even starting the Doran's Helm, which is kind of crazy. But what can you do? Can right into Riot Games if you don't like it, I suppose.
Here we go. A little play into this bottom lane here. Zarut's going to land onto Resilient. Or actually, Resilient going forward. Crispy is in danger. Has to flash away to safety here. As Shib's now taking low, flashing away as well. Aftermoon in the area, but just going to dispel any further aggression from Final Boss. And that's going to be 2 flashes and the barrier burned on the Lotus bottom lane.
Yeah, they don't come up with any kills, but it is an effective gank at burning those summoner spells. Still about a quarter of the time left for the summoner spells on the other side for Final Boss Zenith, but it shouldn't be too much longer before they get those ones back and feel a little bit more confident. All of this action early on, I guess really it was just in that one bot lane play, has resulted in a gold lead of about 1,500 gold here for Lotus. But one of the other, I've talked multiple times here about this multiple enchanter comp for Final Boss Zenith. One of the things that these team comps also do well is that even when they get behind in gold, it can be deceiving what they're able to do with it. But with they might be setting up here on this next objective. It looks like Aftermoon going to start it up, but it's Final Boss not going to go quietly.
4v4 on these grubs now as the hook is not going to land. Aftermoon is the target as they go forward. Encore's going to hit onto 2. It's a lot of damage. Zoning Chandler over the top. They're going to find the shutdown onto Aftermoon, but now Shibs in the middle of 4. Look at Murphy trying to deal the damage as Goomba's going to take down J-Feather. The health bars are really low right now as Murphy has to run for the hills. Bravo trying to fight it out 3v2, but Winnion dealing damage on this Victor, has that blue buff and a lot of mana. The dredge line connects onto Murphy, and Murphy's gonna go down. Bravo, the last member standing in this top lane as Goomba wants more. Gonna get rooted up trying to find the damage, but Bravo for the time being is out of there. Let's see, when does that Q come back up? Flashing away from the Aatrox Q. The damage misses, and Goomba gets out alive.
And already, actually, you could see in that fight how much the Aatrox was healing up. It seemed like it would be a suicide mission to go into that many members, you know, by himself like he did.
J-Feather, no flash. Could be in trouble finding Aftermoon in that bush. Bringing it down, the Noxian Guillotine. Gonna take the 3rd kill of the game for Aftermoon, but look at what we found. Murphy and Haywan in the pit of the grubs. The numbers advantage is for Lotus here as the smite will come down. Haywan's gonna pick up that last grub as Murphy now the target. Haywan goes over the wall. Murphy has the flash and will use it to get to safety. But overall, 2 grubs to 1 in favor of Final Boss Zenith.
I felt like it was lucky for Final Boss that they got out, you know, with as little losses that they did, still able to pick up both of those grubs, or, you know, 2 of the grubs at least, just because they were caught in kind of a 3v2 situation there. But overall, looking at the kills, 6-1 in favor of Lotus. So even though they're playing on a really thin margin here, they're having a very, very successful game so far in this game number 1. You know, we liked the team composition that they were able to put together, and I think that the question remaining here is whether, you know, is how Final Boss Zenith will be able to play out these team fights once we get those more pure 5v5 sort of fights. And I'm also looking at this Graves because you can see that he's definitely falling behind in CS. A little bit worried about how much impact he'll be able to have on this game as it goes on. But Bravo
in the mid lane here, gonna find the root. Yeah, not enough damage right now as the Chaos Storm is gonna dispel. Take about half of Bravo's HP, but you know, just a little. Hey, I see you, and I want to let you know I'm here in the mid lane for Bravo.
Yeah, I mean, definitely helpful for J-Feather to be able to continuously push out this lane. I feel like eventually the Victor will have a little bit stronger push, just because of the scaling of his damage. But you know, so far right now, both of these mid laners really just farming it out. The biggest, you know, sort of advantages we can see, top lane got a decent CS advantage for Goomba, and then in the bottom lane, you know, it's the opposite with Resilient taking a decent farm advantage. But with the second dragon spawning up here, first one we saw was pretty much uncontested in the favor of Lotus, but this time I think that they'll probably likely to be a little bit more action.
Final Boss Zenith starting up the dragon 4v4 strong here in this bottom lane. The dragon about half HP as Bravo's on the wrong side here, but oh, look at the Dawning Shadow and the hook connects here. A lot of damage and Bravo is down. J-Feather falls as well as Haywan running for the hills. The collateral damage is going to buy space, but not enough as a 3-for-0 in favor of Lotus. And they're going to turn their sights on and pick up this second dragon of the game for themselves.
Yeah, that fight looked way more one-sided than we would have expected it to be based on the numbers there. You know, Final Boss Zenith now just continues.
Oh, man.
Oh!
Murphy with the solo kill in the top lane.
Like I said, his Poppy is very formidable. We've seen that when Final Boss was on the stream in the past. So Murphy just, you know, doing what he can in this game to try to keep Final Boss in it. They're down about 4,000 gold as we get a kill that wasn't even on camera.
Solo kill in the top lane. That one's gonna be on. Oh, whoa!
Darius...
Wait a minute here. Afterward flashing forward, Noxian Guillotine's not gonna find the damage here as J-Feather and Bravo cutting it out. Gonna get rooted up. But the Victor is here and is dealing damage online as now Resilient flashing forward, trying to find the kill. One more auto should be enough to take down Winnion, but the shield is true, but not true enough as the shutdown goes over to Bravo. 1-for-1 in this blue buff side play here, as the bottom lane for Lotus is lurking in wait. But final boss Zenith knows and takes the safe route to get back to the lane.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with Aftermoon just killing Haywan in the jungle. This Graves is now 0-4. Going for
Whoa.
the first item there to try to just be able to clear out, some of the vision from Lotus. But yeah, I mean, Darius, he did start with that Ghost Blade as his first item and just feeling really, really strong. This is the point in the game where you do not want to be messing around with being anywhere in Darius's range. And so far, it's the mid jungle for Final Boss that has really, kind of fallen behind early in this one. 8 of the 11 deaths combined coming from that mid and jungle duo. So they got to try to shape it up, try to find some kind of opportunities. These sort of multi-man skirmishes do not seem to be what is working for them early on in this series.
And key thing here is that the side lanes for Final Boss are doing fine, right? Murphy up and just got the solo kill, feeling up at least confidence-wise after that solo kill.
Yeah.
And then Resilient, up about 2 waves, a little more than 2 waves. Down overall just because there's 7 assists on Crispy, but still a 3,000 gold lead. It could be worse, but still a 3,000 gold lead and 2 dragons for Lotus here. Herald spawns as we crest the 15-minute mark. And the third dragon of this game is going to be Infernal. So the Cinders will be alive and well on the Rift here. Lotus sitting at 2-1 here and looking to collapse onto Murphy, who has the flash, can get out, and will use that to get out.
Yeah, he knows that if he got pulled back in by that Aatrox W, he would have ended up dead by the infernal chains, I guess. And so yeah, I mean, about a little over a minute and a half here until this next dragon, with it being the infernal soul, very, very important here for Final Boss to be able to delay that or prevent it ideally. But for now, really just trying to delay it as long as they can. And both of these supports all throughout this game have been active all over the map.
Oh man, this is not good. Haywan getting caught trying to take away the enemy. Krugs is gonna just easily get solo killed by Winnie on there.
Could he not have gone over the wall there at any point? I mean, maybe he just would have been dead either way. I guess must have had his E down, but
did have the flash though.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, I mean, this has kind of been the story of the game. I mean, actually, this is the second time that the Graves has just kind of been caught in the jungle. First time it was in his own jungle, this time in the enemy jungle, but just kind of trying to get a little bit too aggressive with finding resources around the map. He had camps of his own jungle open, so maybe should have just been picking those ones up instead. But yeah, I mean, it continues to just be about a 4,000 gold lead here. One big team fight though could turn it all for Final Boss Zenith if they can get an advantageous setup. As these top
the issue is just they don't have any damage. The Graves is really far behind. The Seraphine's really far behind. Ezreal is only at 1 item right now and not going to be doing much yet. You got to get like 3 or 4 items to be doing something. So I don't know. It seems hard for Final Boss to get into this game unless they're able to delay really far or really hard. And with that third dragon, spawning now and Lotus already being on it, they're not going to have much time. Oh, as they're looking for Goomba now, Bravo in this top lane. The root's going to connect. Infernal Chains will not get the pullback onto Haywan, but Goomba's just going to be able to dash over the wall and just wasted time. They didn't get anything for that top lane play, giving up the dragon on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, now it's on Soul Point here for Lotus, and yeah, I mean, just, not getting any value on the other side. Rift Herald going to be spawned up in this bottom lane, and Teleport coming through to try to provide some kind of support for this Seraphine. I assume that the one charge will probably be enough to finish it off. They're also finishing off the mid lane turret, so just lots of standing gold going into the pockets of Lotus at this point. It looks like they were somehow able to prevent the Herald
What is
from
going on?
charging at all.
Look what I found. Haywan in the
We're in
enemy
Narnia.
base. I mean, shout out to the lion and the witch. Haywan's just going to go down in his basement. All right, what's going on here? Shib's taking pretty low. Dawning Shadow is going to find some damage in the shield over the top of J-Feather. They're trying to find it. Root's going to be coming through, but the hook is huge. Murphy in the front line trying to deal the damage. Noxie Yinti's not going to find the reset, but it's going to be a shutdown for Resilient as now Goomba has joined the party. Skibbs goes down as well as Resilient now trying to run for the hills. Will get taken down by Goomba and Crispy. Bravo has to run as well here. 3 for 4. Still in favor of Lotus. See, that play was 3v. Actually, the play in the jungle was 3 for 3. Haywan was just died in the base.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, that definitely could have been worse for Final Boss Zenith when you look just at that one little skirmish. Somebody in the Twitch chat here says a hyper carry comp with no hyper carry. I think that is a good description of what we have going on here for Final Boss Zenith, because if you threw something, like a Jinx, like a Smolder, something like that into this team composition, it would feel like they had a little bit more hope if they're able to stall things out. But as it is, I mean, obviously Ezreal will hit a good spike when he gets kind of that 2 items, which I guess he's at now. But it does get difficult then. I mean, he will continue to scale. He's an 80 carry champion, but we do continue to be concerned about the amount of damage that Final Boss Zenith will be able to pump out later in this game, especially when Gwar Goomba is there, because we've already seen how much resilience he has in these team fights and being able to just heal himself up. You can see it even right here. Murphy's able to get some damage on him, but it's just really, really difficult to get any of it to stick, because the second that he hits one of his Qs,
oh
he just
no,
gets so much back.
Action all over the map here. Is Shiv's gonna get it rooted up? Not yet. Taken down. Gets out with just 1 HP. Murphy in trouble. Gonna go down to the Nox and Guillotine, but Winnie on the flank. Gonna find the one shot onto Haywan, and Final Boss Zenith has to run with their tail between their legs here. 18-6 in favor of Lotus.
Yeah, just a rough game for Haywan, definitely, in this one.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's against Aftermoon playing this Darius jungle, which is, it's not something that, again, not like one of the core jungle picks of this season. Definitely something that is somewhat exploitable, but I did not, at least the Graves in particular, just not really doing a good job of exploiting that, clearly, in this game so far. I think that this Seraphine mid has also left a little bit to be desired. I mean, we're not, not going to judge her too far or too much by the KDA in the same way that the Graves would, just because she's also providing other utility to the team. As Shibs able to get
a little help from Crispy there. Yeah, let's get out.
I mean, I feel like for Final Boss Zenith, we're kind of at the go next point of this game. They're down about 7,000 gold. They've got to be really creative in how they look for a play. 1 minute until this next dragon. You have to believe that if Lotus is able to pick this one up, it makes it, I mean, if as close to impossible as it could be, I think, for them to lose, just because of how much more, they're still continuing to scale. We talked about maybe lack of a hyper carry on the side of Final Boss, but Crispy will continue to indefinitely scale as he keeps picking up those souls. Would be huge for him to have the Infernal Soul as well.
Bravo. Oh, Infernal Chains goes wide. Bravo is in a danger spot there. Teleport comes in now from Winnie on the dragon, spawning in 22 seconds. We got 10 members strong around this objective. Final Boss knows they have to find something here, but okay, look at Resilient doing some damage now. Winnie on taking a half HP. Aftermoon running forward, not going to go for anything as the root comes through. Depth Charge is going to find knockups onto 3 as Goomba from the side. Murphy trying to buy some time here. Oh, and the ulti misses. Murphy goes down. Dawning Shadow over the top. Encore hits 4, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. Trying to find the damage. Oh, J-Feather finds Shivs on the backside as Resilient still trying to deal damage from the side. Bravo's going to go down as well here. And oh no, Resilient gets one-shotted by Winnie on. J-Feather and Haywan, the last remaining members, running for their lives, but only delaying the inevitable. The teleport to try to get out, but it is not in time. 5-for-1 in favor of Lotus. And they're going to look onto this Baron and probably just go to that dragon afterwards.
Yeah, Baron being taken down. Like you said, the dragon is already up. I mean, the beauty of their position is, of course, they want to take this dragon as if they can, but even if they, somehow were not able to get over to that one in time, which it looks like they will be, it wouldn't really matter because it would just be the first, dragon of the game for Final Boss Zenith. There's always the next one for Lotus, but if you are Final Boss, I don't know that you would even be able to think about starting this one up just because Lotus is going to be there really soon, and they are very, very strong. We're now at a 10k gold lead in favor of Lotus, who has not dropped a game in the past 2 weeks. They're trying to extend that to a third week this time, and they're off to a good start in regards to that effort here in game number 1, 24 minutes in.
Lotus on a little bit of a hot streak right now, trying to keep that going as this Dragon Soul will be picked up unless True Shot Barrage not enough there. Aftermoon knew it was up, and
gotta try.
Yeah, gotta try. I respect the try. Infernal Soul for Lotus. They're wearing purple. They're up 10,000 gold, and they're pushing down this mid lane, trying to break the base of Final Boss Zenith here. Haywan on the side, Aftermoon on the other side, seeing what they can find. Encore goes wide, and I think that's gonna probably dispel any potential chance that Final Boss Zenith had at defending this tower.
Yeah, Murphy's been trying really, really hard to frontline, has been doing a decent job of it, but with all the gold in the pockets of these Lotus carries, we've just seen how quickly they're able to melt his health bar. He's been in the right positions at the right times, has done what he can, but it just really has not been enough in this game, which we wouldn't expect it to be, playing the tank Poppy here. Can we just say also that tier is so back in League of Legends? Look at how many tiers we got. 3, I guess, isn't necessarily as big of an... Well, 4. Sorry, 4 tier. Yep.
More mana on both AD carries.
Yep. Mana like is the name of the game. So... I don't know if Lotus will be able to actually fully break the base with this round of the Baron or not. They're going to have to try to find some kind of team fight start here, which, I mean, they're fishing for. They don't have to be so clean with the, kind of cushion that they have in the golden item lead at this point. But yeah, it looks like with this wave, they will just be able to bust into this space.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they're really in a rush either. They know that, they're in a good spot. Anything, overly hasty can potentially throw here. And so they're just calm. They're waiting for their minion waves to come in. They're going to break that mid lane inhibitor and then rotate down to this bottom side to try and take this bottom lane inhibitor tower. Winneon taking a little bit low. So they might opt to just reset after that. But no objectives for, at least 3 minutes here. And it's going to allow Final Boss to lick their wounds just a little bit. But it's tough. 12,000 gold lead now as we approach the 27-minute mark.
Yeah, it's really just now waiting for that last team fight to break out for Lotus to be able to kind of finalize things and take down that Nexus. But as you said, right, Chains, the smart play here is definitely to go back to the base. You don't need to be in a hurry. You've already got that Dragon Soul secured. 3 minutes until the Elder. If they're not able to end it before that point, they will be able to force a fight over that. The Baron coming up even sooner. So, I mean, I think now for Final Boss, again, I mean, I said this earlier, but you really got to start thinking about what you can do differently in the next game. For me, it starts with this jungle pickup. They need something that can provide a little bit more CC, a little bit more gank power, because it never really felt like Haywan was able to pressure these lanes in the same way that Aftermoon was, at least in the bot lane early on. So hopefully in the next game, they can get Haywan onto something that can make more of an impact, because this is not going to cut it against a team of Lotus's caliber.
Yeah, and especially when they're so hot right now, as Uh-oh, Murphy might be in trouble. Depth chart's gonna go onto Bravo, finding the knockups, but a lot of damage onto Murphy. Will survive for the time being. Winneon still in this bottom lane pushing. They got a 4-1 going on right now. Lotus does with those mid lane super minions on the way. And oh man, Aftermoon's looking for something here. Bravo is, no, J Feather is the target, and J Feather is just gonna go down, destroyed as Crispy finds the kill. This tier 2 in this top lane will fall as well here. The inhibitor tower in the bottom lane falls. And right now, Lotus is spreading the map very effectively here, fighting and pressuring all 3 lanes at the same time. Mid and inhibitor tower to about half HP. Now is Relentless and Winneon going for the 1v1. There's so much damage now from the Chaos Storm as Winneon is going to go on a rampage. Murphy trying to survive and defend this top lane inhibitor tower, but cannot, as the inhib tower will fall. Inhib will fall as well here. Will Lotus look to go and continue to this third inhib, or will they back off? Looks like they're going to, and will be able to take it now. 27 seconds on Resilient, but the Nexus towers are under siege. Hook goes wide. Winneon taken very low. And I think it might just be a back off here. They do have the TP on the Victor, and still 15 seconds on the enemy AD carry, but with the objective spawning soon here, Baron is about to spawn an Elder in 1 minute. Lotus decides we're gonna just play it smooth, play it clean, and reset and go for those objectives.
Yeah, really just trying to avoid making any mistakes here. Ezreal trying to delay the backs and clear some of the minions. Maybe, I'm not sure if he was trying to delay the backs, I guess, actually, because he did not. But yeah, I mean, now for Lotus, they're able to set up around this Baron, and assuming that they're able to pick up the vision around it that they need, it should prevent any chance of a miracle steal by Haywan. 20 seconds, though, onto the Elder Dragon, so I wonder if Lotus tries to go and maybe set up around that instead, and as they know that the Baron is pretty much going to go down. But we'll look at those super minions already going into the base. They do have 2 teleports available for Goomba and Winneon, so they could even just try to go into the base directly and end it, which is what Aatrox is trying to do here. They don't need a dragon.
Super minions already on the Nexus towers here. I see 4 on the minimap as Lotus beelines it in. Aftermoon trying to find Haywan, looking forward. The hook's gonna connect. Haywan should just fall here, as now Bravo is the next target. Gonna be in trouble as Goomba does so much damage. Let's see now, back into the base we go. Resilient trying to do damage. Look at this, they almost found Winneon as Winneon is taken low, but will go unstoppable, taking out J Feather. The Nexus towers are really low as Goomba now diving, does not care. They have both fallen as Resilient can do nothing but watch the Nexus get destroyed. Lotus takes game 1.
Yeah, dominant performance here in game number 1 from Lotus as they extend their win streak to 5 individual games in a row here. Congratulations to them, and for final boss Zenith. The series is obviously not over, but that is not an encouraging showing for them in game 1. They're going to have to go back into the lobby, figure out a different approach that will work better for them in game number 2, because especially in the jungle here, as we mentioned over and over again, did not work out in the first game.
Lotus taking game 1 in pretty commanding fashion here. We're going to take a short break, but we will be back shortly for the pick and the ban of game number 2. Can Lotus take it in 2-0 fashion, or will final boss Zenith force a game 3? We'll see shortly. And we are back for the champion select of game number 2 here. Into the pick and ban we go here. We've got a no ban, which is exciting. And waiting to see who that's going to be. But I guess anything you noticed from that game 1 that you wanted to talk about?
Lotus won. They were very, very dominant in that first game. So, the team comp was a little bit strange, I guess, from Final Boss. So maybe that's, I guess, if there's any kind of silver lining for Final Boss, they probably have the opportunity here to draft something that's a little bit more comprehensive. Would like to see more damage coming out of the mid lane, because it just never felt like Jay Feather really had that great of an opportunity to affect the game on Seraphine. You could see, like, in one of those late team fights, hit a 4-person encore, but it just didn't really end up mattering because of the state that the game was in by that point. Um, but yeah, I mean, and also obviously in the jungle too, would love to see something that can affect the lanes a little bit better early on. And as we get through these bans, pretty similar, it looks like, to the first round. Notably, Murphy is one of those players who does not
Ooh.
hasn't shown a ton of champions. We um, saw that Poppy in game 1, the Alawe banned out. So I'm excited to see what he'll bring out in game number 2, because he was probably the most impactful individual member from Final Boss in that first one.
Murphy was strong on the Poppy here. We got a Syndra first pick now coming out from Winnie. And personally, I like Syndra. It's one of the mid laners that I enjoy. But we'll see how it goes here. Lux is going to be the counter now for Final Boss. Just to go
Right.
over Alawi, Jarvan, and Braum, the bans for Lotus, Fizz, Ashe, and Sivir. So a lot more focused on the AD carry in this early ban phase from Final Boss Zenith. That's something we don't see too often, especially with those champions.
Yeah, I mean, Crispy was so good in that first game, though. I mean, on the Senna, so not necessarily like the flashiest AD carry, but I believe he was deathless in that first game. Just did a really, really great job throughout it. But Final Boss stays bringing out some unique picks here with the Lux, as you had pointed out right away, but then also the Diana. So we would assume that one of those two. Well, I was going to say one of those two is going to go to the mid lane, but we have no idea. Diana could definitely go into the jungle. We could see the Lux support as well. But with those early bans toward the AD carry, we'll probably see Lotus. They don't want to eat any more AD carry bans here, so they will pick up the Yunara. It looks like we'll see if they pick up, whatever they want to go alongside that in the bot lane next.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Picking up
So,
the hover and supports here. We'd like to see, Yunar, one of those champions that does enjoy a little bit of enchanting. Lulu's the hover now and will be the lock in. So Lulu is one of the, like I mentioned, one of those champions that enjoys enchanting, and
definitely.
gonna be buffing up Crispy on the Yunara after a strong game 1. Same sides also from game 1.
Yeah, so I mean that also makes me wonder where we're going to see the counter pick. I assume we're not going to see another counter pick jungle. That did not end up working out well there, and so yeah, if we do see a support lock in here, I was going to say it could still be something like they could have locked in like something like a Caitlyn there to have some kind of super lane dominant combo with the Lux, but it's not going to be that. It will instead be the Rel, which does make sense knowing that there's the Lulu here, that you're not going to have some super high pressure lane. That you're against, don't really need to worry about getting poked out constantly by the Lulu. So we'll see what kind of AD carry they end up wanting to go alongside it. I mean, obviously in a solo queue environment, we have seen the rise of tons of different picks in the bot lane that are not AD carries. That hasn't something that we've seen translate. Haven't seen that translate over to CCS, but I guess that is something else to consider here as we continue to go through the picks and bans. I feel like eventually it's likely to leak its way into competitive play as well.
Eventually, we'll see if today's that day. But yeah, bands coming through here, second phase. targeting the top laners, Yorick and Dr. Mundo taken away for now. We'll see what final boss opts to continue with here. And, you know, from game one, Final Boss had the, kind of hyper carry composition where you had the two supports that were just trying to kind of buff up the teammates. That didn't work. So they've opted for the team fight composition now with the Rel and the Diana, a game plan switch up that you wanted to see specifically. So that's, maybe they were listening to you. You should start
They should.
charging.
They should. They definitely should. I mean, and yeah, if you can kind of picture it in your brain already with the team fight that or team composition that they put together with that Rel, the Magnet Storm, the Diana with the Moonfall, definitely sets them up well for success if they get into a situation where that even matters, right? Because kind of the biggest thing one of the takeaways from that last game is Final Boss didn't lose the game during the team fight phase. They really lost it during the laning phase. There was a lot of movement across the map on both sides. But yeah, I mean, it was earlier than that that things went awry for Final Boss. But if they can make it into that team fight phase, we can see the good setup that they've created for themselves so far here.
Definitely. The last two bans, the Wukong and the Jin. And Final Boss opting to go for the Zaya in the bottom lane to pair up with the Rel. So a little bit of extra CC and a hyper carry nonetheless for that bottom lane carry. Wow, Nasus is the lock-in for Lotus. I believe we saw Nasus last week as well on the stream,
Oh yeah,
and
right.
it did quite well, if I recall.
Yeah, that was a Nasus top lane, so I'm interested to see if this is also another Nasus top lane or it does go to the jungle. We've seen a lot more Nasus jungle recently, so it's something that can definitely work. And I think that there's some flexibility here.
Ooh, yep.
Okay. I assume that set will go to the top lane. I mean, you could play set jungle, but I'm assuming this is going to be a Nasus jungle. And now we might find out a little bit more about Final Boss's intentions with uh I mean, I guess it must just be a last pick top lane, I guess, now that I say it, because
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I think
neither
last pick top lane.
neither Diana or Lux are going into the top lane, so it must be a top laner here. Whatever Murphy wants to take into this set, they will be able to take, and it's going to be none. He's just AFKing. Not enough
Zahen.
support in that first game. Okay,
Wow.
yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, Zahen, the new champ. Well, I guess he's not that new anymore, but the newest champ that has been
Yeah, they pump
released.
them out so fast nowadays. We don't even know.
I
Uh,
believe the next champion lock is coming out within the next couple weeks, I thought, but as far as I've heard from the talks, will not be seeing that in the CCS this year. Um, just because of they got to figure out the champion
Competitive
before it
integrity.
comes out. The split, sorry, the split. Yeah, I
Never.
guess we're only in June. We're only in June, so
Diana.
compositions are locked in here, and like we alluded to earlier, a lot more team fight potential for Final Boss with this composition here. They got some circle ultimates with Zahen and Rel and Diana, so we like that. Geometry is fun. On the other side, though, you have the Yunara and still a relatively beefy front line in the set and the Nasus. So, if Yunara is able to hit freely in this fight, it's gonna be pretty hard for Final Boss to get in there. I think it's gonna rely on potentially a flank into the back line from either the Diana or the Rel to kind of cause some havoc.
Yeah, I'm expecting either way these lanes early on to be a lot quieter than we saw in game number
Yeah.
one. I think especially for Final Boss Zenith after how the first game went, it puts kind of a bad taste in your mouth when you're not by the time you get to the team fights, it feels like you don't really have much of a chance. I'm sure that they would like to not repeat that this time. So again, looking probably for a little bit more I mean, I guess it wasn't that they were particularly aggressive in the early lanes, but just really trying to stand strong in these early lanes, make it through those to those first item break points before they do anything big. But the eyes for me are definitely going to be on Haywan here because we saw him struggle in that first game to make much of an impact. Diana now many more tools as far as being a team fighting champion, so expecting him to be more involved or in this game. It is a very level 6 oriented champion, so we'll see how much he's able to affect the map prior to that. But Nasus as well, of course, not known for his early game dominance, so a pretty good matchup for Diana to be able to farm out against early.
Yeah, and Aftermoon into that bottom lane early was, kind of the start of the snowball for Lotus. So Final Boss has to be cognizant of that. Both these junglers a little bit slower paced. We will see shortly. We are going to take a quick break to get through this competitive integrity spectator delay, but we will be on the Rift to see if Lotus can close out the 2-0 sweep or if Final Boss can push a game 3. Don't go anywhere. And we are on to the rift for game number 2 between Lotus and final boss Zenith. Same sides as game number 1 here. Lotus, Gargoomba on set in the top lane, Aftermoon on Nasus in the jungle, Winnion on Syndra in the mid lane, and Crispy and Shibs running it out with the Yunara and the Lulu in the bottom lane.
And for final boss Zenith back on the red side, we got Murphy in the top lane with the Zahen, Haywan in the jungle on Diana, Jayfeather in the mid lane with Lux, and Resilient and Bravo in the bottom lane on the Xayah and Rel combo.
As we get into this game number 1 here, wow, Aftermoon on the steal of this red buff. This is a little crazy. I got some news I want to tell you guys, but I want to see how this goes first because this is a bit unorthodox here. And look at that, Haywan just going straight for the blue. All right, anyway, do you guys want to piss your friends off live on stream? Are you interested in baiting the players or even a coach? Through pure CCS ingenuity, we've made this possible. For just 100,000 channel points, you can get your message shown live on screen mid-game, LCS style. Want to bait even more people? CCS subs get 1 free bait a month, 1 rage bait per game, first come, first serve. Get in there quick. No carryover per month either, because this is not your corporate PTO program. Make sure you @Flay or Redacted or a CCS mod for any questions or requests. As you can see there, random CCS citizen, Haywan needed to pick Diana and get the power of pride on their side to win game number 2. Thank you, random CCS citizen, for your insights. And you guys too can get your insights shown on screen here as, okay, Bravo going into Crispy here. The root's going to land. We got all of the summoner spells burned so far as Crispy running for the hills, Resilient flashing forward. 1 more auto should be enough. The shields are coming through. Is it enough? And it is, as first blood goes over to Resilient. Shivs and Bravo battling out on the backside, but not going to be much here as we just supportal combat.
Much better start here from final boss Zenith in the early 2v2. Lots of summoner spells being blown. Ooh.
Okay. Goomba with the solo kill at the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, clearly I was wrong when there would not be as much action in these lanes early on, because we've already got action in 2 lanes early here from both teams picking up a kill in the end there. Goomba on the top lane, we only saw the end of that, but we could see that he had like the pretty much the full grit stacked up there to hit his W. Huge haymaker into Murphy there. So 2 of the lanes already seeing action here early on, and after that wild start from the junglers, it looks like everything is pretty much going to be evened out, although Diana does have a huge lead as far as the camps here, actually, now looking at it. So I guess it's just because there's still multiple camps up here for Aftermoon, but it should be an early lead here for Haywan in the jungle. Nice for him to get off to that quick start after what happened in the last game.
A little more scrapping in this top lane here, as I think this is going to be a pretty volatile lane. As Murphy and Goomba are going to be going at it now. Murphy looks to be getting the better of the trade. Both flashes are available as Goomba. 1 more auto should be enough. Going to get pulled back and flashing under the tower. Murphy finds the return solo kill.
Yeah, and Goomba had gotten back to the base there, was able to pick up the double longsword as well as the boots against just the boots of Murphy, but it didn't end up mattering, which is one of the interesting things about Set, is his damage is very circumstantial to being able to get a good haymaker off in the right positioning there. Both of these champs also taking the ignite, although both of the ignites were actually dropped during that first engagement, so Murphy not even needing that one the second time. So yeah, I mean, just tons of action in these lanes early on, and I would not expect that to be the end of it in the top lane, with both champs now sitting at 1-1. Yeah, got lots of action early.
3 kills down as we approach the 5-minute mark here, and a 600 gold lead for final boss Zenith. I believe this is their first gold lead of the series.
Yeah,
so
I would assume, unless they had some kind of very small gold lead early on, I do expect that is the first gold lead for them. Yeah, I mean, the only lane that we have not seen action in so far is the mid lane here. Both of these mage champions just kind of farming it out so far. And the Lux is an interesting one. I mean, Lux not a champion that we see a ton of in competitive play, but is a very powerful champion just as far as the range that she is able to offer. So I'm excited to see, how Jay Feather can kind of better impact the game in comparison to the Seraphine that he had in that first one that wasn't able to get quite as much done. Definitely a lot more
Ooh.
agency here. Oh,
Showstopper here in the Grim Deliverance. Gonna buy some space for Murphy. Does not have the revive.
oh,
Ooh, the facemaker or the face breaker so close to hitting. And that certainly would have meant death, I think, for Murphy. But on the other side of the map, the dragon taken by final boss Zenith. Murphy is going to have to base and lose out on this wave, but still a lot of action in this top lane. Like we mentioned, it's going to be quite volatile. And Haywan continuing the dominance in this jungle right now, taking away camps. That red buff is going to spawn shortly for Aftermoon. And maybe it's looking to set up a trap here as Murphy dashing forward, going to get stunned up. Here's the damage. Doesn't have flash available. Going to get the pull back into the tower. The knock up onto Goomba. But the Facebreaker shield is enough. Ignite. Can't find the ticks after death. And then Murphy goes down again.
yeah, that is not good for Murphy. I mean, mostly just because of the amount of farm that he ended up losing under the tower there. On the other side, though, Haywan, like you mentioned, is continuing to try to take advantage of that by trying to pick up as many of the jungle camps as he can on the other side of the map. He does have level 6.
Oh, and here we go on to Crispy. It's going to be a 3v3 in this bottom lane as Haywan's going to have to burn the flash to get away. Bravo with the early heal as well. Help out the final boss jungler. But able to take away the Krugs, the red buff, and the Raptors from Aftermoon in that bottom side.
Yeah. Still waiting for the first chance for Diana to actually really get involved in a fight here, but is happy to be taking away as much of the jungle as possible, trying to create a lead, denying the Nasus from continuing to get those Q stacks, which is totally critical for him later on here. It is about a 30 CS lead though in the jungle, which is very substantial. Murphy got back into that top lane though, was able to equalize things as best he could, but Goomba really does have good control of this lane, has that Tiamat completed, so should have quite a bit more damage than his lane opponent. It is able to kind of dictate where the wave is going to sit here for now.
Aftermoon has 168 stacks already on the Nasus. That's
How
a
is
lot.
that even? Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just part of why Nasus jungle is really good, right? Like, there's nobody stopping you. Like, if you're hitting a camp, like, you are able to last hit the jungle camps with the jungle monsters with your Q every single time. So that is one of the benefits of this Nasus jungle. One of the reasons why it has been so popular, and so, so far to start, going with a pretty tanky build path here. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to end up finishing with those items that he's got so far. But yeah, I mean, he gets so much strength just inherently from his stacking. So happy to go with that as far as the damage early on here. And both teams have kind of traded objectives across the map so far. Final boss Zenith picking up the first dragon, whereas Lotus does secure the grubs early on here. And yeah.
Haywan up almost doubling Aftermoon CS right now on this Diana, and Goomba looking for something in this bottom side, flashing away from the Haymaker, and the Grim Deliverance will force a flash out of Goomba. So both flashes down in this top lane. Goomba still has the Showstopper available, but I think Murphy's just going to be able to get out of there. Haywan now in a precarious position, but the Proto Belt is used to get away.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it will end up becoming relevant. I mean, about 1 more minute until this dragon comes up, but we are going to be in a situation possibly here where Haywan does have the jungle item completed early. Ooh.
Battling in this top lane here. 2 levels down for Murphy right now on the Zehen. Down 30 CS. This is a nightmare for the final boss top laner. Is Resilient now going to get aggressed on. Flashing forward. Bravo is going to get the knockback. The Magnet Storm is going to force the dash. Moonfall will get the flash. from Crispy, as now Crispy's fighting back. Final boss Zenith having to run away, did not have the damage to get through the wild growth and the heal from Shibs.
Yeah, they did get both of those really high impact ultimates off that we talked about in the Diana and Rel ultimates, but they just don't have quite enough damage at this point in the game. By the time that Hay1 was able to pull Crispy back, don't think Resilient was able to take full advantage of that in the way that he would have liked to. And so they will be able to walk away, but without the flash, does make the return pretty, very, very doable here for Diana, who will have her own flash back up pretty soon. And with this dragon now up, it looks like could be started off here from final boss. Lotus is here on this side of the map, but just not sure if that's something that it's something that they want to do anything about right now or not.
Lotus knows, but I think it's just too little too late here, as Hay1 going to be able to secure the second dragon of the game for final boss Zenith. And with that, the Cloud wins Quicken on the Rift.
Yeah, will be that Cloud Soul. Probably for final boss, a little bit disappointed. Would have loved to see it be the Infernal Soul like we saw in the first one, just because they already have these two dragons stacked up pretty early on in this game. It's just about a 300 gold lead between these teams, so pretty much negligible so far. As Hay1 trying to lurk around, take advantage of the timing here with Crispy having the flash down, but they've got plenty of vision, staying safe in the backside of their lane for now.
Whoa, is now aggressing onto Winnie on here as the Moonfall's going to come down, flash out as a Scatter of the Week's going to find the stun onto one, but J-Feather with a two-man root is huge. Hay1 is going to find the first kill, but will be traded back as Aftermoon is going to get a plus 12 on the enemy jungler. Battling down this bottom lane as well here. There's a lot of damage, low health bars on final boss Zenith. And Crispy goes down.
Yeah, they just needed the 2v2 to get that kill. Didn't even need the Diana down here. We didn't see exactly what happened because of the action that was going on in the mid lane. But good work from the final boss, Zenith. Oh.
TP coming in here. Resilience out. Bravo's going to crash down and run for the hills. And will be able to get out. So that could have been bad, but no casualties there. And Winnie on just TP and bot to catch a wave.
Yeah, Resilient definitely making a good call there not to cancel his recall, because he was getting kind of baited, it felt like, to maybe not cancel it with Shibs moving so far up in the lane, but probably would have ended up dying to Syndra had he canceled it. But now it's also we're in this scenario where Crispy came to cover mid because of the teleport bot from Syndra, and will have to recall and then run back down bot again. So I assume that will result in him losing out on some more CS and XP. Already, about 15 CS down in that bottom lane. So at the end of the day, that teleport does end up kind of slowing the pace for final boss Zenith here. And yeah, you can see on the top lane too.
That was brutal. CSing. Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Bot lane
what is happening?
William goes down.
I don't even understand. I thought that Syndra was going to go back to go.
Yeah, what? I don't know what happened. William went bot lane for some reason. Just died and then gives over first tower to final boss. So now Resilient sitting 3-0 on this Xayah.
Yeah, kind of just gifted this, it seems like, through the hard work and resilience, I would say, of their performance so far in the bot lane, but just some major mistakes here that we did not see in game number 1 from Lotus as far as their movements across the map. And remember, Winyon did pick this Syndra. It was the first pick in the in this draft, so something that he felt really, really comfortable on. And it hasn't really been about the execution on Syndra, just more about the movement around the map not being exactly what we would like it to be. And yeah, they've effectively swapped lanes here from Lotus. And either way, obviously it seems like this bot lane from final boss was fine with that, as they found the kill on Syndra earlier, and J-Feather is going to be just fine clearing out the lane against whoever it is that they do send mid. So, as Final
Herald.
Boss Zenith takes down this Herald, they are chilling, feeling a lot better in this game than they did the last one. It's still less than a 1,000 gold lead. So overall, not nothing super major. Certainly not even close to the kind of the gold leads that we saw in that first game. But yeah, feeling a
As
lot
we
better
approach the
than they
six,
were before.
yeah, definitely feeling a lot better here. As we approach the 16-minute mark, stack check on Aftermoon 384. As maybe looking to set up something in this bottom lane now. J Feather channeling the recall. I don't know. Should be able to get out though.
Ooh, canceled it.
Canceling it. As now Crispy
Yeah.
and Shibs are also moving down into this bottom lane. So big play coming through. They're trying to set up this dragon that's spawning right about now. And J Feather with that blue ward is going to be able to spot out the danger. Herald spawned in this mid lane is going to draw some attention. We'll get the flash from Winnie on. And J Feather is in trouble now. Finds Aftermoon. Going to use the flash, but the Magnet Storm is going to buy some time. The Wild Growth 2 makes Aftermoon live just long enough to pick up the 1-for-1. As Resilient goes on a rampage now, Haywan turning their sights onto Shibs, the Moonfall, and the damage. The Feathers cutting the Lulu in the back. A double kill for Resilient. And this dragon is going to be final boss, Zenith's.
Yeah, and at this point, Zaya is so far ahead of Crispy on the Yunara, has the 2 items completed, and then now picking up more kills on top of that. Yunara still trying to work on that second item, although did cash in the cull, so that helps out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's the 3rd dragon already for Final Boss Zenith, 17 minutes in. They are well set up here to be able to pick up that Dragon Soul. One thing to keep an eye on, I guess, is the top lane here, where Guargumba has continued to extend his lead over Murphy. So maybe this set comes into the team fights and makes a really big difference. Now that, especially now that with that top lane turret down, we'll have some more flexibility, presumably, to push the wave and roam out. That's one of the bright spots on this map for Lotus, who, again, I mean, are sticking relatively close into this game. It was a 1k gold lead before that last fight. It still remains a 1k gold lead for now. So we're really just kind of looking at the scaling here for Lotus. Aftermoon, of course, going to continue scaling on the Nasus. And then, Yunara is going to need some more time, still working to try to finish that second item. But they do have, theoretically, the tools in the bag that they would need later on, but they just need a little bit more of a lull state, it feels like, or, a state perhaps where they can be the ones picking up more of the kills, to try to take the pole position in this second game. Trying to extend it to a 6 game winning streak as far as individual games here for Lotus. If they were able to take this one down, I'm sure that's the number one thing on their minds, of course, here. Maybe not, but yeah, probably more just winning the series, I guess.
yeah. I think the series might be a little more important, but to win the series, you got to win a game.
It's true. Got to win 2 of them. So
yeah,
they got 1.
True. Got 1, need 1 more. If you're interested in the individual gold leads here for each of these players, about a 2k gold lead for Goomba in the top lane. In the jungle, Haywan's up about 700. Mid lane, 400 in favor of Winnion. And then in the bottom lane is 2,000 in favor of Final Boss. Resilient is up there. And, with Goomba being ahead, there's always the opportunity for one of these carries on Final Boss to just get one shot by the Haymaker.
Yeah.
If Set can hit with the sweet spot, the true damage will one shot a squishy, and Resilient might be in trouble here. Running the wrong way away from the team. Aftermoon is angry. Will get rooted up. The flash will be used and followed by Aftermoon. As the team is here now, Featherstorm is going to buy some space. As now, let's see what they can do. Haywan with a 3-man Moonfall is going to be big. As J Feather now unleashing the light on to Lotus. 1-for-1. Jungler for 80 carry at the moment here.
Yeah,
What can
Aftermoon is
Aftermoon find?
really strong.
Oh my goodness. J Feather, no. Oh,
Oh,
Roof goes
listen to
wide.
you.
This is not good. J Feather's cooked. Trying to TP out? Is it enough? Oh, it's what?
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Bot lane tower will fall, but still exciting. Nonetheless.
This
Whoa, what
Nasus
happened
is
mid?
huge.
Resilient takes Goomba down? What happened? How did that even happen?
I guess we'll never know. But yeah, I mean,
How does that ever happen?
That's not, yeah, I mean, clearly it seems like Goomba must have looked for the engage there. It ended up dropping the ignite. Not sure if he had flash available or not, but it's not on cooldown as of right now. And Resilient was just able to get away from the Nasus earlier, then comes back out of the base, able to pick up a big kill onto Guargoomba. But the member to watch so far here on Lotus is Aftermoon, sitting at 4-1-0 on the Nasus, and we saw how strong he was in that fight. It's just the amount of damage he's able to continuously pump out, regardless of having, any kind of longer cooldowns available. Every time he can hit a Q onto one of the enemy champions, it does so much. But so does Resilient.
Featherstorm early, and he's going to go down. A shutdown comes through for Aftermoon as Bravo's the next target. Moonfall is going to be on to 3, getting the flash out of Winnie on. But let's see what they have. It's a lot of damage coming back. Scout of the week finds another stun onto 2 as now Goomba has joined the party. 1 for 2 in favor of Lotus for the time being. And the gold lead is about even. As the dragon now spawns, Lotus in position here, has the numbers advantage, but the HP is low on Crispy and Aftermoon. I don't think final boss Zenith is going to look for something, but Haywan has other plans. Moonfall is not available, no flash either. Final Spark is. So we'll see if J Feather can find something against Murphy. Now going in, Dragon's going to get secured by the Aftermoon, but the Showstopper coming in the back line. Grim Deliverance is going to find 2 on the backside. As the Final Spark now, not enough damage as Goomba finds the shutdown onto J Feather. Haywan going back in here as the stun comes through. Murphy has the revive available and will utilize it. Winnie on 1 HP, getting taken down by Bravo as Rezi finds Goomba in the enemy jungle. Bravo not able to find the stun onto Aftermoon. And final boss Zenith lose the dragon, but they get a lot of kills back.
Yeah, huge fight here, and you can see that final boss Zenith doesn't want to waste any time going straight onto the Baron with 2 members still down here. Winyan does have teleport, but still 17 seconds until he's up. Actually, both of these solo laners do have teleport, but they should be able to stop Aftermoon from getting into the pit.
Yeah, Aftermoon trying to look for something here. I don't think you can get into the pit, though, as the Magnastorm is going to be utilized. The Baron is secured by Resilient. Bravo is in trouble, though, as the dog is angry. But the Baron's going to be on to 4 members now of final boss. And the gold lead now sits at 1.3k.
Yeah. I've heard, okay, didn't I think Guargoomba sold one of his items for a different item there, because he had the what's the split push item?
Hullbreaker?
Yeah, he had Hullbreaker completed, but now does not have Hullbreaker anymore. So after that death in the mid lane, maybe it was just that when he went back to base, he bought it and then rebought. But there was definitely a Hullbreaker in the inventory. I was just thinking about like kind of the side lane split push potential here. Not only from Guargoomba, but also from Aftermoon. I mean, that's one of the interesting things I think about Nasus jungle is that typically at this point in the game, especially when you're this strong as Nasus, you are such a force when you sit in the side lane. But also at the same time, being the jungler, you are needing to be able to get around the map to be present for objective fights. You also don't have teleport. So kind of a bummer that he's maybe not able to take advantage of that as much as he would be in another sort of circumstance for Nasus. But either way, again, the Nasus super, super strong. And Crispy, who had a great game number 1, definitely struggling here in comparison in game number 2, has been jumped on quite a bit despite Shibs trying his best to keep him alive here on this Lulu. But we've also seen the power of the Lulu in these team fights and powering up the Nasus, who's at it again.
Murphy in trouble here, does not have the flash. And I think might just go down. Grim Deliverance over the wall to try and buy some space, but Aftermoon's flashing forward. over the wall we go here. We'll see if we can get a plus 12, as it looks like. Oh no, gonna get delivered. Oh, the shutdown comes over to Aftermoon nonetheless. There's now numbers advantage here for Lotus. Tier 2 is gonna go down in this middle lane as Final Boss Zenith making something happen while their top laner was aggressed on. But I don't think Lotus can catch up to them here. And no objectives for the next minute and a half.
You almost would have liked to see Nasus hold the flash there. I mean, it's nice to get another kill, but just knowing that there's no objectives up on the map, there will be objectives before his flash timer is back up, and that could just be so critical as far as being able to go forward and find that, final hits onto probably Resilient, who's the biggest threat, of course, in the fights from Final Boss Zenith. But you know how it is in the moment. It seemed like they had Murphy dead to rights, which they pretty much did. So couldn't resist burning that one to go forward. But we'll see, we'll kind of track how that affects things in this next fight for Aftermoon, who is, as we've said several times now, the main sort of carry threat at this point for Lotus. I'm not sure where she's at, but we also think about Syndra as far as scaling. A while back there was the changes of Syndra as far as hitting those certain breakpoints.
107 on the splinters right now.
So that's something else to track as well. She hasn't picked up any kills individually so far in this game, but will definitely be a threat to Resilient later on in these fights.
We're gonna get some action here as Haywan looking Magnastorm onto one. As the scatter weak is pretty big, finds two in the backside as a Magnastorm now dealing a lot of damage. Showstopper onto Bravo, gonna have to burn the flash away, but look at Aftermoon in the middle of 3, gonna go down, and that's a lot. That's really big now for Final Boss Zenith as Haywan re-engaging in. Winnion goes down. The Lotus team members are falling. Final Boss Zenith pick up the 5-for-1, and they're going to be pushing down mid lane, looking to send this to game 3.
Yeah, they aren't even taking a second to look at this dragon. They would just like to end this one out, which you cannot blame them after how the first one went. They just want to make sure that there's not any opening of the door for Lotus to come back, and despite the struggles in game number 1 for Final Boss Zenith, it looks like we'll be able to take it to a game number 3 here, breaking the win streak in games for Lotus and sending it to the match point.
The rubber match indeed here. You wanted 3 games, and we're going to get 3 games from this series. You knew it was a close one, and the players are showing out. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be back for the Champion Select for game number 3 between these two teams. Welcome back, everybody. We are here for the pick and the ban of game number 3 between Final Boss Zenith and Lotus. We are Final Boss on the blue side once again. And we have already gotten into these picks or these bans rather, as Fizz Ash taken away by Final Boss and Jarvan Alawi taken away by Lotus. Final Boss looked a lot better and more comfortable in the team fighting composition that we saw in game number 2.
Yeah, they definitely looked a lot better. Huge turnaround for them. Now they're over on the blue side, so we'll see what they decide to prioritize here first. It doesn't necessarily feel like they, made as that great of use of that final pick, anyways. Both games that last pick not necessarily having too much of an impact. So, but for Lotus, they decide to switch over here to the red side. First pick Oriana there, so just a strong mid laner for for Final Boss to start out here, and we'll see what there is to pick up in response here from Lotus. We do have quite a few champions off the board at this point because we are in the fearless draft, so they'll be digging a little bit deeper in those pockets to find impactful champions.
Lucian and Hui going to be the pickups for Lotus. Hui can go into the mid lane, can also go into the support role. I don't know what it's being played as more right now. Do you?
I would assume. I mean, I've actually seen a lot of it bot lane. Also, not going to be that with the Lucian picked up. I feel like it's probably likely. If I were to guess, I would probably say mid lane, just because of the fact that we know it's going to go against that Oriana. It definitely has a safe matchup where it can sort of just farm out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm expecting here. But on the other side, for final boss, they do have the Jinx. We'll see if they want to pick up their support to go alongside it right now. I would imagine that maybe be the case, especially if you wanted Enchanter. You've already got the Seraphine, Karma, and Lulu are all, banned out just because of the Fearless draft, so it would thin the pool quite a bit. They could also go, for something else. I was going to say the Braum, it was one of the bans in the first two
Yeah.
games, not banned this time. It is going to be left open, so they will pick that one up to go alongside the Jinx into the bot lane. It also is a nice thing to take away from the Lucian. Could see something like a Milio coming through here on the other side, though. I mean, it makes sense to probably try to counterpick support unless there's something in particular that you're really trying to save from the bans. Um, yeah, and it looks like they are hovering over a couple of different support choices here for Shibs. Um, Maybe something engaged. Alistar is not
All
something we
right.
see a ton of, right now, but it does. We have, like I said, we got slimmer pickings here, at the support position. Does it's getting late. Does a great job of setting up dives once he has his ultimate, able to survive so many of those tower shots. So, definitely will be a good option there. You also don't need to worry about too much early pressure from that Jinx Braum, which is something that Alistar sometimes can struggle against. So I'm anticipating quite a few jungle bans here, though, as we get through the next set of bans.
Yeah, and Alistar is also a champion that can be pretty aggressive after he gets that level 2, level 3 with the headbutt pulverize combo you know, can engage from a pretty good distance away. Also can make some like cool flashy plays where you like flash pulverize and then headbutt back into the tower if you're too far forward. Just stuff like that where it works well with the Lucian, who can also do a lot of damage really quickly in the early game. But like you mentioned, a lot of junglers being banned so far. Wukong, Ivern taken off the table by final boss, and then Nocturne, the final ban from Lotus. Just thinning out this jungler pool here. Not much available as we pass into game number 3 and a couple
Yeah.
bans.
I mean, there's still, stuff like the Jarvan is still available. Oh, never mind. Actually, Jarvan was banned out in the normal ban. So, yeah, I mean, they are definitely going to be digging a little bit deeper into the pools. Jin Zhao comes to mind as one of the possible options as Rumble gets banned away. But anticipating that it will be the jungle pick here, I assume, from Lotus, since they probably want to save that last pick
Ooh.
for the top lane. And Hecarim, talking about champions that we don't necessarily see a ton, Hecarim definitely does what he does well, but is a very particular sort of champion. And yeah, that's gonna, I assume, be the pick unless we see some kind of switcheroo putting it into the top lane. But it's been quite a while since we see Hecarim top lane on the Rift.
Lotus is drafting a little bit of a farm composition here with the horse and the cow. When you have Alistar drafted, though, you got to be careful of the Silas pick on the other side, and that's going to be what
Sure.
final boss Zenith go for. They're going to pick that Silas here. I believe that's going to be a Silas in the jungle.
Yeah, and he is kind of firmly in that, second maybe tier of jungle champs. Doesn't necessarily have quite as good of, doesn't have kind of like the base stats scrapping ability that some of these other junglers that we saw banned away do have, but is strong, especially once he gets a few levels under him. And yeah, Cassante into the top lane. So we would assume that Guargumba will try to take some kind of something that can do well against a tank. Both of the champions that they've hovered so far do just that. We've seen quite a bit of Mordekaiser here in CCS, not only in the top lane, but also some of it in the mid lane from Syndicate Sean's fan club as well. So it will be the Mordekaiser locked in. I mean, definitely will be going into the top lane against this Cassante, but should theoretically have the advantage in this matchup. What I will say is Cassante is also one of those champions where, when played to kind of the fullest extent of the champion, can beat some of these matchups that you would expect him to struggle in. Turns into that almost assassin once he does use his ultimate, but it's just going to be a question of how good is Murphy at being able to pilot this one for himself. And yeah, I mean, some interesting compositions here going into the last game for Final Boss Zenith. I do really like their team fight abilities based on the champions that they've picked here. And they will scale really, really well into the late game with the Oriana and the Jinx.
And on Lotus side here, with that Mordekaiser being picked, it always is a threat. Now, if the Jinx or the Oriana steps a little bit too far forward, they can get taken into the death realm, and that's a tough matchup to win as either each of those champions. So we'll have to
Yeah.
see if the death realm comes into play in any of these later team fights here. Also can be used to take out the jungler. Um, and Silas, who's going to be taking someone else's ultimate just to eliminate them from the fight for a brief period of time, can prove to be very valuable. So we have the drafts done here for game number 3. We are going to throw it to a short break as we get through this competitive integrity spectator delay, but we'll be back on the Rift in just a few minutes for the deciding match between Final Boss Zenith and Lotus. Don't go anywhere. And we are back onto the Redford game number 3 between Final Boss Zenith and Lotus. Final Boss Zenith on the blue side for this game 3. Murphy on Cassante in the top lane. Haywan on the Silas in the jungle. J Feather on Oriana in the mid lane. And Resilient and Bravo rounding out the bottom lane with the Jinx and the Braum.
And over on the other side, we got Guar, Goomba on the Mordekaiser, Aftermoon on Hecarim, Winyon on Hui, and then Crispy and Shibs on the Lucian and Alistar duo in the bottom lane. And we're off to it here in what will inevitably now be the finale of this series. Remember, whoever wins this, we've got them number 3 and 4. So I believe if Final Boss Zenith were to win this game, they would leap ahead of Lotus. in the standings here going into week number 7. We're getting pretty deep into the season here in CCS, so it kind of feels like these games and these series start to matter more and more. Some trading in the mid lane here, pretty heavy trading actually early on from both of these teams. And yeah, both of these junglers starting off on the same side. Excited to see where they decide to path first, trying to affect the map for both of them. And Silas definitely has, the CC to give just after, or, once he's got his E there, so could try to affect some of these lanes early. Hecarim, I guess similar, but just really going to kind of depend on the state of the lanes if we get as much fighting as we did last time or not.
You mentioned that we are getting late into the season. Only 2 more weeks of regular season play after this game, or rather this series comes to its conclusion here. So games become very, very important, especially in a game between the 3rd and the 4th seed. We do have a little bit of a gauntlet situation going on here to get into the playoffs. So if you want more information about that, ask Flay, because he is the mastermind behind it all. Murphy taking pretty low into this top lane. Mordekaiser is going to be a bit of a challenge here in the early game. And I know this might be interesting to you here. I just got a notification that the Timberwolves have traded away Julius Randle.
Oh, ding dong, the witch is dead. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's
Minnesota
great.
fans rejoice.
Yeah,
he is gone.
Ready to get rid of him.
28th pick is also gone, but
Okay. Who did they pick up on this?
It doesn't say. It just says 3-team deal with the Nets.
Okay, we would just give up that pick just to get rid of Julius Randle at this point. You got to give a pick alongside him just to get him off the team. But yeah, related to League of Legends, there's not that much going on, so that's what justifies us talking about the Timberwolves.
Oh, Murphy.
Oh,
Q.
Oh, that level up is going to save him.
Getting the knockback to Q is not enough damage. And man, both flashes burned in the top lane, but no casualties. That was real close. Scuba almost had that one.
Yeah, I think that last second, or that level up to level 5 from Murphy is what saved him. And Guara Goomba actually still at that moment happened to be level 4. So, maybe a little bit more juice on that Q from Mordekaiser could have made the difference. But so far we're remaining deathless for both teams early on here. Just 4.5 minutes in, we already had like 3 kills across the map by this point in that game number 2. But that's something that I notice in these third games. When all the marbles are on the line, people tend to play a little bit more cautious, not wanting to throw away these things in the early game when you don't have any more chances left. And I mean, especially for the bot lane and the mid lane. For final boss here, definitely happy to continue to farm out. They will be both of these, the mid laner and the bot lane with Jinx are just going to be menaces later on in this game. So they would really actually love, I think, to just sit here and farm for as long as they can until they get a couple of items completed and really start to come online in this one. So that is what they shall do for now. Both junglers have really been farm heavy, although...
Here we go into this mid lane. We go here. Winion's going to have to burn that flash. A1 flashes the follow, but no casualties still as we approach almost 6 minutes into this game here. A lot more calm and collected from each of these teams. Junglers heading towards the top side of the map here. Aftermoon is on a little bit of a better tempo right now, up 3 camps over Haywan. Nothing really to do.
Yeah, all the camps are gone, kind of waiting for this scuttle.
Oh, Shibs into this mid lane. The flash, headbutt, pulverized back. Jay Feather's taken really low and will go down. First blood going over to Aftermoon on a really well set up play there by Lotus.
Yeah, it was really well set up. Great roam into the mid lane from Shibs. Had the timing to be able to leave Lucian down on his lonesome down there and not really lose anything. You can see Lucian still standing in this lane 1v2, not really worrying about it at all. And you talked about it, right, Chains, but when, this Alistar does have a lot of different options for how he can combo his abilities, as Murphy trying to do his best to pull Guargoomba under the turret.
Murphy going all out
Oh,
here, and Guma's in trouble. The damage comes through, and the attack damage Cassante. He's gone all out, and he's gotten the solo kill.
yeah, you can see he picks up the Negatron cloak. And he doesn't need any damage to have enough damage once he's able to hit his ultimate there to be able to take down Guargoomba, who did not utilize his own ultimate. It would by the time it was too late. By the time he could have even thought about taking Cassante into the Death Realm, he was just focused on trying to keep himself alive. So one kill from both sides here, but you got to be happy there as Murphy, getting counterpicked theoretically here. Last pick of the draft was this Mordekaiser for Guargoomba, but Murphy able to take the better of that early engagement, and will find himself a little bit ahead here. As you mentioned, Hecarim is at a little bit of a better clip here, does have this full jungle to clear out once again. I don't think Silas's clear speed is really the strength of the champion, though. Really going to be about his performance in these team fights later on. So we'll be tracking that from Hay1, who had a huge bounce back game in game number 2 after struggling in the first one.
And just looking here as we get another fight into this top lane, Murphy aggressing forward yet again, has the flash available, gonna get the knockback here. We'll see if the damage comes through as Goomba is taken really low, gonna get stunned up and taken down. Murphy masterclass in the top lane.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Cassante does a lot of stuff. Supposedly a tank champion, but he doesn't really look like that when he's in these fights. And I mean, now for Guargoomba, you really gotta play it safe. I mean, from now on, at least until you've got an item built up. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for the Rylai's first or the Dusk and Dawn. Those are kind of the two typical options here. But for Murphy, it's, such a privileged position to be in to just be able to build full tank and still be able to stay alive.
Oh my. Horse Week is on the way. Thank you, Golden. I was gonna mention this, and someone said it in the chat as well here. But then Murphy solo killed Goomba again. 20 CS lead now for Resilient in this bottom lane is not ideal when you're playing, Illusion, the likes of Illusion, Alistar for Lotus here. That's a lane that you want to kind of get ahead early and kind of make something happen. And the fact that Resilient has been able to essentially farm uncontested here is pretty scary. That this Jinx, is gonna be online here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the issues with picking Alistar as the support duo alongside Lucian is he just doesn't do. I mean, we've seen Shibs do a nice job of moving around the map with that gank into the mid lane early on, but he doesn't really do a lot to help the Lucian pressure the lane against the Jinx early, especially against the Braum, who is able to block a lot of the damage if you're able to time those shields, the unbreakables, well. And so, yeah, I mean, as you pointed out, it is our, very, very intelligent viewers, of course, in the chat as well. This is a nice place to be for Resilient. And I mean, really where there is action happening on the map in general, Final Boss has been the beneficiaries. Of course, the one death from the Orianna early, but still continuing to just farm pretty effectively here in the mid lane, not going to stop Orianna from being the problem that she will become later into this game.
Here we go into the mid lane. Here's a Shockwave's going to connect the chains as well. And Haywan's going to flash forward and take that kill as now we go into this bottom lane. Resilient is pretty low. Has to flash away. Bravo gets gunned down trying to run. And Crispy finds a kill.
Yeah, and I guess what we cursed him in the bottom lane here for Final Boss Zenith, because as soon as we're talking about how great... Ooh.
Oh, man, Haywan doesn't know that Aftermoon is here. Going to take away the Unbreakable from Alistar, but will get stunned up here. Doesn't have the reach to get to goes under the tower. Check your PayPal.
Yeah.
That was a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't seem like he had to go in on that. You know, it was a good move to be down there to begin with, to try to threaten that from Haywan, but then yeah, by the time they noticed that Aftermoon was there as well, just not the best move necessarily to try to go in and force that kill. Had already expended the flash on that mid lane gank, otherwise might have been able to reposition himself a little bit better to land the abscond abduct. But, you know, with that being said, still that big CS lead here into the bot lane, but those kills, or the kill at least, I guess, for Crispy coming through does start to cut down on that gold lead a little bit. All in all, it is just a 400 gold lead for Lotus, so a very, very close game in this third game of the series so far.
Lotus able to pick up that second dragon of the game. That means the mountains will rise. 3 unique souls in this 3-game series. It's always interesting and something we don't see too. I feel like we don't see that too often anymore. I feel like there's a repeat at least some point in the series.
Yeah, not so far, or not in this one at least, with the Mountain Soul being the option. So 2 dragons picked up early here from Lotus. They are on track to try to pick up that soul.
Key item buy here, collector for Crispy in the top, or in this bottom lane now after picking up that kill and assist. So has the item advantage for the time being. Resilient's gonna base and you know, pick up the Hex Optics, but they had a little moment where Crispy and Shibs were looking for something, and Resilient was keen to it. Did not get caught, which is always good.
Yeah, I mean, at least as far as kind of the...
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we need more dragons. I think there's already a good bit, but maybe just the you know, the soul probabilities maybe need to be better.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'd take more dragons, I guess. Although they got to come up with, they probably wouldn't be able to come up with more, you know, unique, you know, or whatever with all those dragons and everything, anyways. So we'll keep it as is for now. But yeah, I mean, it's just a 100 gold lead now for Final Boss, so really just negligible here. At this point, both teams very, very close. And I don't know, what else is there to say at this point? It's late.
Objectives have been traded here. Final Boss picking up the top side objectives and Lotus picking up the bottom side objectives. And it's a slow-paced game, you know, 15 minutes in, we got 6 total kills. I believe we had 6 total kills in the first 5 minutes of game number 2. So, you know, we're doing our best here, trying to keep some action going. And
Guargumba has been able to stabilize things pretty well in the top lane after going down, you know, 2 times early. You know, pretty much even in CS here, did decide to go for that Rylai's first as Crispy.
Shiv's getting engaged on here as the calling is going to come down. Super Mega Deathrock is not going to find the damage. Barriers burned on both sides, and Crispy finds the kill onto Resilient.
Yeah, Shibs again utilizing that flash pulverize, this time on Resilient to put him in a bad place. Ultimately, the Death Chamber being that bad place. And now it's 2-0 for the Lucian, who does go back, is able to pick up another BF sword and crit cloak here. So we'll be, you know, fairly close to trying to pick up that second item of the game for himself. And he does really need to stay at that pace because we know that there's a point at which Jinx will just be way, way, way stronger than him. But
Mhm.
trying to find the circumstances where he can take the advantage, which they did a nice job there. The mid lane and top lane turret gonna fall.
Top lane tower. First tower of the game taken by anyone due to that Rift Herald help here. Gold lead still under 1,000. It's mid now.
Yeah, what
Let's go.
happened?
I guess they wrote it mid, but here we go.
Yeah.
As Shibs finding Bravo here, gonna use the try to get Resilient to try to get away. But now this is 4 members strong for Lotus in this mid lane. Aftermoon's gonna go on a killing spree and find Bravo there.
Yeah, Bravo goes down 40 seconds until the next dragon, which means without the support, they're going to have a hard time setting up the vision that they would like to here. Lotus hoping to get themselves onto Soul Point if they can take this dragon down.
Oh man, J Feather now is getting aggressed on here, but the 3-man shockwave is huge. Do they have anything? Resilient looking for a reset as Haywan with the Unbreakable Will going under the tower, looking for Aftermoon. Aftermoon's taking pretty low, but Super Mega Death Rocket goes wide. Now Murphy flashing under the tower, can't find a kill. As Guargoomba and Winnion are flanking now. Haywan's in trouble. J-Feather's getting flashed forward on. Do they have the damage? Goomba takes it down as Haywan now flashing in again, trying to find Crispy. One more auto is enough from the Q damage. And then will get traded back now to 3v3, and this play is Resilient in the Death Realm. This is not a good situation to be in if you're the Jinx, as he will go down. Murphy now, the last member standing. A double kill comes through, and this is just delaying the inevitable here. Murphy trying to find the damage back as Shibs is taking pretty low and should go down to that last tower shot. No, Goomba was taking it. As now all out, here we go. Murphy is trying to do it. The hero play, and for the time being has stalled out any further damage for a final boss, trading one back here, but the dragon, third dragon for Lotus will be picked up.
Yeah, and final boss just going too deep there. They picked up what they were looking for at first, and then could have gone to try to set up this dragon after pushing Lotus back under their tower, but instead just trying to reach too deep for that play, and it just means that the third dragon will go down to Lotus. That puts themselves on Soul Point for that mountain dragon soul, which would be huge for them to be able to pick up. And Guargoomba with a huge fight. He did end up going down at the end, but went from 0-2 to 3-3-0. So, you know, very, very strong was that. Mordekaiser was able to pick up the first kill onto J-Feather, and then still had that ultimate left in the tank to be able to use on Resilient, which we talked about whenever that's the case. It's not good.
Haywan going in onto Crispy as now Aftermoon is joining the party. Teleport coming in here as the culling is gunning down. Bravo goes down as Aftermoon goes on a rampage. Now Murphy in the middle of the team, trying to run now. Let's see what he can do. Finds the knockback onto Winnion, but Resilient is dealing damage from the backside at a safe distance. Ultimate comes through now from Hui, but no casualties yet here as Murphy taken to about a third HP. And the rest of Lotus looking forward here. Whoa, Haywan going in with the ultimate from Hecarim and the Shockwave combo, but just dies. Another donation.
Yeah, Haywan with another questionable move here. Takes that Hecarim ultimate, but doesn't even get into the middle of the enemy team before he's just taken down. As Lotus has now separated themselves a little bit in this game. They do have about a 3,000 gold lead. Remember, they've got that 3 dragon advantage. 3 minutes until the possible soul spawns up onto the rift. And Aftermoon now at 4-0-0 on this Hecarim, looking very, very strong. I mean, really, all of the members of Lotus were looking strong in that last team fight and have picked up a lot of resources. And yeah, I mean, Shibs on this Alistar has been very, very crucial to the success that Lotus has had in this game, affecting multiple lanes early on and continuing to be very dominant in those team fights, 0-0 and 10 so far, not even dying. which you could criticize. Sometimes the support should die, but especially with Alistar's ultimate, it's really easy for him to be able to live through these team fights and be tankier than he should be able to be based on the amount of gold that he has and the items. But yeah, I mean, Lotus definitely feeling like they're in a nice spot though. But with that being said, this does not feel the same as the first game where Final Boss Zenith fell behind. It didn't really have those champions that they would be able to fall back on should the game scale later. This time they've, of course, got the Jinx and they've got the Orianna, so they are far from out of this game. And Lotus is going to need to, keep it up if they want to finish out this series.
Jinx having that Phantom Dancer completed here as the second item. Crispy opting for the Infinity Edge. So Crispy is going to be quite a bit stronger here for the time being until that Resilient's able to pick up that Infinity Edge for himself. But, a lot of shutdowns right now on this Lotus side. So a lot of extra gold, available for Final Boss on the map right now. They got gold shutdowns on everyone but Crispy. So there's still a lot of play in this game, and the gold lead is under 3K. So still in this game by all means. We'll see here as the dragon spawning in a little over a minute. Baron is on the table as well here, but no one has looked for it yet. Neither of these teams want to act too quickly, it seems. Don't want to pull the trigger preemptively and give away any sort of lead here, but look at Haywan coming around here from the Raptor pit. We're going to get a battle here as they're looking for Crispy. Able to get out there. Aftermoon in the area's numbers advantage for Lotus for the time being. And Haywan could be in trouble here and has to run for the hills. As the blast cone gets canceled by the pull here, taking away the Onslaught of Shadows, but now Aftermoon going in. Exhaust is going to be taken down, and Aftermoon is down, but the shutdown goes over to Bravo. Shockwave's going to find one on the backside, but the two-man knockback coming in from Murphy. All out time. Let's see what Murphy can do on the Cassante. Crispy's going to be burning that culling to try and find the damage here as Murphy has to flash out to safety. Resilient now has to run for the hills here as the rest of Lotus is aggressing forward. Crispy's going to find the kill onto Bravo as Goomba still full HP on this Mordekaiser. Has the ultimate available still. As now the TP's coming back in here. Going to use that Death Realm onto Haywan. Under the tower we go here and bringing the mace down. Goomba takes down Haywan. Let's see. Murphy's joined the party again here, but 4v3 numbers advantage for Lotus as the dragon has spawned. This is their sole mount for Mountain. And it looks like they're going to push this mid wave in and just head down into that bottom side river and take it.
That team fight started out looking very rough potentially for Lotus, but they are able to pull it back together and take that one down. Murphy maybe trying to look at this dragon, but he's not going to want to go in 1v4. This Cassante, it hasn't really mattered, I guess, at the end in some of these team fights, but the Cassante has looked ridiculously tanky, able to soak up so much damage without going down. But one of the things that stood out to me in that last fight was how strong Crispy is on the Lucian. You saw when he was able to get into the face of Resilient how much damage he did in that 1v1. It just kind of shows how far away the Jinx is from being able to affect the team fights on the same level that Lucian has been so far, because he is absolutely melting the squishier targets from Final Boss Zenith.
And both of these 80 carriers are now moving towards that armor penetration item. Last Whisper for both of them. Honestly, I would like to see Resilient go for the IE, but
yeah,
LDR, there are some tanky members here. You got the Alistar, the Hecarim, and the Mordekaiser, so I understand it,
tanky,
but I don't know if I like it.
Alistar's tanky, but I don't really know what you get out of killing Alistar, right? Like, they haven't been able to do it so far, and it's just not the priority target that they want to take down. Not a ton of armor really built up at all outside of that. So it's just kind of an interesting choice, I guess.
Ooh, Bravo getting aggressed on. Onslaught of Shadows, and here we go. Oh, man. Crispy is so strong.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see. I mean, he just is really popping everybody. He does have his Infinity Edge. Went for that as a
Oh
second
man,
item.
Haywan looking for it now. Headbutt Pulverize combo is misplayed. As now 4 members Lotus are chasing Haywan through the jungle. But it seems like they figure they're not going to get it here as Goomba and Murphy in the Death Realm once again. What does Murphy have here? Just going to run for the hills here as, oh man, Shibs finds Resilient. Do they have what it takes here? As the Shockway's going to pull Crispy back, but J Feather falls. The mid lane tier 1 also falls. And Lotus looks to be running away with it. The past couple plays has been good for them.
Yeah, it looks like they could try to go on to the Baron here. Remember, they do have that soul now, so they have that additional shield going into these team fights. Goar Goomba in a rough 1v2 spot.
Looking for this pick onto the enemy top laner here as 2v1 Goomba versus Haywan and Murphy. Murphy is doing all right for themselves for now as Goomba's taking Haywan pretty low, gonna dodge out from that decimating smash for the time being, but doesn't even matter because the Baron goes over. They still haven't taken down Goomba as now they're gonna get the pull back in. Let's see if they have the damage. Big shield coming in from the Mordekaiser as he's bringing down the hammer, but a nice heal comes in from Haywan to secure that kill. The shutdown goes to Murphy and raid boss down.
Okay, so Haywan took the Mordekaiser ultimate and I think used it while he was also in the Mordekaiser ultimate. So we had some kind of double death realm going on. Would love to know, how that actually affects the stats and things. If it just cancels out the original death realm stat advantage, or how that works. Well, maybe we may or may not ever know, I guess. But yeah, I mean, as it stands here, 5,000 gold lead, almost 4,500 ish for Lotus, who have the soul. They took down the Baron most recently. Just 2 minutes until this Elder Dragon, which would be a huge objective for Lotus to take down. They do feel like they are in control of this game, and I mean, with the pace that they're currently at, you don't really feel any sort of fall off yet from Crispy, and probably won't, just because of how strong he is with the items. 3 items fully completed there, for both 80 carries, but Lucian's also got a Sheen on top of that. So yeah, really looking at this Elder Dragon in a minute and a half to define the rest of this game, because if Lotus picks that one up, it's going to be really difficult for final boss Zenith to stand up to them in the team fights.
Lotus feeling really strong right now in this game, up 5,000 gold. This is kind of what we saw from them in game number 1 too, is a commanding lead in the early game and playing the mid game well, expanding that lead, and also just playing, I would say, calculated, not taking unnecessary risks, and just trying to bleed out as much resources as they can from their enemy. And I mean, you can see right now, After Moon is almost flame horizoning Haywan right now in the jungle. Just to show that, the lead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a good game too, relatively speaking, from Haywan, but overall really has been Aftermoon series in the jungle, looking great on this Hecarim pick. There have been a couple of decent plays from Haywan here too, but also some kind of YOLO plays that did not end up turning out how they would have liked. But the bot lane is really the star so far in this one for Lotus. Crispy and Shibs both having fantastic games for themselves. And with 4 seconds, this Elder Drake is now spawned, and we're probably going to see a fight ahead of it.
Okay. Here we go here. Numbers advantage for the time being for Lotus here. As this tanky health bar is coming in here. Murphy going to the backlines. The Onslaught of Shadows comes in. They find J Feather, but flashes out from the Mordekaiser. Aftermoon is taken pretty low as now Murphy trying to deal damage, but taking low as well. Shockman's going to find one. As now Aftermoon. Murphy goes all out and takes down Aftermoon. Haywan's going to find the kill there, but trying to find Shibs cannot. And it's a 1 for 2 right now. A double kill comes through for Goar Goomba And this Elder Dragon is in position right now for Lotus to take here. Gonna take some resets, but the numbers advantage is in their favor at the moment. And the Dragon gonna be started up by Crispy. We'll see if the rest of the team comes back here. No junglers on the board for either team. So it is gonna be a true 50-50. We'll see if Lotus obviously wants to. Oh yeah, Gorguma still has the ulti going around. Jay Feather is so far up. Ah, yeah, it's cooked. Gonna get rooted. Resilience gonna go into the death realm. Just gonna die. Bringing down the mace. Elder Dragon's gonna go over to Lotus. Bravo, the last member standing, gonna dodge out from that grasp from Mordekaiser, but I think it's just gonna delay the inevitable here as Shivs and Goomba are going to let the Braum know what's going on. Elder Dragon confirmed by Crispy, and the goal lead expands to almost 8,000 here with Baron spawning in a minute.
Yeah, Baron spawning up in a minute. It's actually really, I feel like it's really nice objective timers here from Lotus to constantly have the next objective to force Final Boss to come fight them for, despite it being 32 minutes in, we just haven't seen so much impact so far from this Jinx. Did opt to delay, as we talked about earlier, the Infinity Edge.
No, A1. Okay, here we go. Shockwave on to 3, but look at the damage. Crispy, a double kill comes through. Super Mega Death Rock. You can't find the last hit on After Moon. And oh man, this Lucian is active with it. Murphy gonna get rooted up here. As Crispy is just not scared of anything right now. Frontlining.
Yeah, and with the additional execute from the Elder Dragon, we see just how powerful that is. They're going to be trying to break the base now. Jinx still alive to clear out the majority of these minions, but now, Baron coming up, perfect timing. Haywan will be, respawning in just a second, but you have to imagine that by the time he's able to get to this Baron, it should already be gone. Lotus being very systematic about the way that they're playing out this game number 3. Just not overstretching, not doing too much, even though, they are very strong and probably could be going a little bit deeper than they do, but they just want to ensure that they win this series. 34 minutes in just about here for Lotus. They've got over a 10,000 gold lead now. They'll be able to go back to the base with that empowered Baron recall, spend the rest of the money that they have, and try to push some of these lanes to finish out this game number 3, presumably, unless there's some kind of big comeback in these fights. Jinx is very close to the Infinity Edge. She doesn't quite have it. She's got all of the components. But even then, it's just about being able to buy enough time in these fights for Jinx. And some of the times, Jinx hasn't even really been able to be present to hit the enemy champions because she's been in and out of the Mordekaiser Death Realm. Just been a challenging game for her to be able to get those auto attacks off in these team fights.
We'll see if Final Boss Zenith has a last stand in them right now. The Elder Dragon has expired, so the fight is going to be a little bit easier. Not that it's going to be easy, but at least they don't have to worry about the extra damage and the execute. Haywan just getting chunked to half HP from 2 screens away by Winnie on there. As Lotus pushing 4 members in the mid lane. Did Aftermoon disconnect or what happened? Okay.
We're not sure.
What's going on?
No, he's moving around. He's moving around.
Weird.
For just time.
Does not want to kill the Raptors, I guess.
Yeah, they're pushing multiple lanes here.
4 members strong in this mid lane for Lotus here as the inhibitor tower is going to fall. Unbreakable Will is the ultimate of choice for Haywan at the moment. The mid lane inhibitor will fall as well. Goomba, 3 cannon minions empowered by Baron in this bottom lane. Dealing a lot of damage to that tower here. 1 more plate left. Now the rest of the team pivots over down to that bottom lane. Less than a minute left on this Baron, I believe, and 2 minutes until the Elder Dragon spawns here. Winyon's gonna base in TP, but they're looking onto Aftermoon. Can they find the kill onto this Hecarim? He's really fast, and he is out of there as Shibs with a 2-man headbutt pulverize. Culling is gonna be used big here, as the Shockwave only finds one. We'll see what we get here as Onslaught of Shadows now finds two. Crispy goes godlike, and Murphy has to flash out to safety. Guar flashing forward, gonna find J-Feather into the Death Realm, and this looks bad here for final boss Zenith. The inhibitors are down, the Nexus towers are under siege, and they are looking to close out this game. Does final boss Zenith have anything? 3 members alive here, as Haywan's gonna go in with the Onslaught of Shadows. Murphy trying to deal the damage, is going all out, but cannot find anything, as that Resilient is the target. Aftermoon diving onto the tower, but Guar finds the kills, and Lotus paints the rift with final boss Zenith's blood and takes game 3.
Yeah, game number 3 victory here from from Lotus. Final boss Zenith going down. You know, they made it a tough series with that game number 2 from Final Boss Zenith, but in the end, Lotus are the victorious ones with a very methodical, very strong game number 3. Congratulations to them, moving up into 4-2 as their record here in the CCS and cementing further their position in the top 3 here of the Group A in CCS Apollo League.
We are going to take a short break, but we will be back in moments. Maybe we don't need to take a short break, or do we want to take a short break? All right, we're going to take a short break, but we will be back with the top laner of the winning Lotus, Gargoomba. So don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss that. And we are back here with the winning top laner, Gargoomba. Congratulations on a hard-fought victory.
Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna be real. Could have done the 2-0 if we didn't decide to throw game two, but that's for another story. Uh, well, you know how it is. It was a nice series.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun to watch for sure. Lots of back and forth. I mean, jumping right into kind of talking about this series, I wanted to ask you about your lane opponent in Murpy. There was a lot of fighting back and forth in that top lane, definitely a few solo kills. So I'm just curious your opinion of, going against Murpy and how he kind of stacks up in comparison to the other top laners you faced in CCS.
Respectfully, I think I disrespected Murphy way more than I should have in initial scouting because a lot of the earlier season matches was mostly like, oh my god, he's smurfing on Alawi, got to permaban that, and so I thought I could just disregard anything else besides the Alawi and steamroll him, but it turns out that when you have a little bit of brain damage, even that doesn't help against Murphy. So, I mean, he seems to be doing pretty well capitalizing on mistakes, so I'm very hopeful to see his progress with the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, sorry. Compared to the rest of the top laners I played so far, I think he's top three of the ones that I faced. I mean, there's Nubile, but also he's a little fraudulent, but that's a trash talk type comment. And then I'm kind of scared of Espada, only a little bit, but I still fathered him in the scrims, even though he 3-0'd us. So, I mean, is there really other top laner that really is concerning me? Nah.
Right. So yeah, I mean it sounds like it's pretty much gravy from here then. So coming into this CCS split, you guys won the lock-in tournament. You were super, super strong through that. Just curious, like, did you consider yourself the favorite to win CCS after that performance? And do you still feel that same way now?
Hmm. I mean, we definitely have our own struggles going on within the team. Uh, it definitely took a very huge hit to morale after we lost the first couple series earlier in the season. I wouldn't exactly say we are slated to like steamroll the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if we win this whole series and take the CCS Revival Cup, but there are strong teams out there. Like I know XSV is pretty strong. I know DOV is pretty strong. If IOTA gets into the right mindset, they can be pretty strong, but I don't think it's as clear cut of a victory between all these teams than when it was during lock-in.
Sure. And you mentioned that you did have kind of a tough start to the regular season. You started 1-2, but now since then, I mean, you've won three straight series. Just curious, what has been the key to this bounce back? Whether it's just kind of the order of the opponents that you've been against, or there's some kind of change in the team that has kind of catapulted your guys to success since that rough start.
To be honest, I think it definitely was a little bit of the early season rust because we didn't exactly know each other nor play with each other that much prior to the lock-in tourney, so we were still trying to figure out our own groove within our team, and it really got exposed when we lost to those first two series. Uh, but I mean, like, we got Stubby as in our like own secret sauce as my top lane sub. Like he has 100% win rate. I also think that as we started progressing through the season, we started figuring out like this is what we need to play towards. Obviously, we see Aftermoon kind of smurfing all these pocket picks with the Jungle Fizz, respectively named Jizz, or uh, the Jungle Nasus or the Ivern, and it's those type of picks that we get to play around with the rest of our team to really like bring home the victory of, but jungle diff really matters. As a side note, like another thing that's kind of helped us is that we may or may not permamute Crispy 10 in our call because he makes some really bad calls. I don't know if you see him running down like level 1, those are super grief plays that he just doesn't come at all. Uh but once we get through all those hills, like our team gets a lot better.
Hey, who needs the ADC to be talking anyways? They're just there to do damage. That's that's their job. So makes sense. Well, I mean, we really
Ooh.
appreciate you being here on this interview, Goragoomba. Of course, you've got this life-changing platform here on the CCS stream to be able to say whatever you want within the Twitch TOS. Anybody you want to shout out or anything else you wanted to say after this series?
Shout out to my mom. Wouldn't be here without her. Shout out to Shiblets. He's got the biggest nuts known to man. They're at least 20 pounds for real, for real. Shout out to Marquez. He's pretty schizo, but we appreciate him for it. And everyone hates Skeeth. Okay, love y'all.
All right, shout out Gargoomba's mom. Thank you for for having him here. That was the winning top laner for Lotus, Gargoomba. Thank you for that interview. Hope you guys enjoyed. That's going to be all for us today on the broadcast as Lotus takes it in 2-1 fashion over Final Boss Zenith. Big shout out to our production, Loki and Golden, for doing all the magic, making it look nice for all you. I've been Rychan, joined by Elsa the Queen. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Have a good rest of your week, and we will see you next week for week number 7.